Wherever you are, whatever hour you hear this message, I want you to sit back, not just in body but in mind. Let your thoughts become still. Because what we're about to discuss is not just important. It's the foundation upon which every life of true success, joy, and purpose is quietly built. The title of our message is this: Success begins with belief. And I want to be very clear, I don't mean wishful thinking. I don't mean surface-level optimism. I don't mean belief. The quiet, internal certainty that moves a man toward what others call impossible. Belief is not noise. It is not hype. It is not something you shout from rooftops or wear like a badge. If you believe you're capable, you are. If you believe you're unworthy, you'll make it true. Because belief, in its purest form, is a filter through which the entire world appears. You do not act beyond the borders of your beliefs. You do not persist where you don't believe persistence will pay off. And you will never reach heights your mind has forbidden. Now pause with me and let that settle. The reason most people never truly change is because they try to do something new. They want the results of a new man, without the belief system that made that man possible. They chase tactics but never transform perspective. But success, real success, has never been a matter of tactics alone. It is always first, a matter of belief. Because what you believe determines what you attempt. What you attempt determines what you persist in. And what you persist in becomes your destiny. Let's take a moment to look at how this works, practically. A man who believes he is destined to rise, begins to notice the doors that others miss. He walks into the same room as the doubter. But his eyes are different. For the doubter sees walls, he sees opportunity. Where others see threats, he sees tests. It's not the room that's different. It's the mind that walks into it. Belief shapes perception. Perception shapes decisions. Perception shapes decisions, shapes results. You see, your external world is the echo of your internal convictions. Not instantly, not always loudly, but certainly steadily, inevitably. And so the greatest journey a man can take, is not across land or sea, from the belief that he is small to the belief that he matters, from the belief that he is limited to the belief that he is guided, from the belief that he must survive to the belief that he can create. Now, I don't mean arrogance, and I don't mean fantasy. Belief is not thinking you can leap off a building and fly. Belief is knowing that if you work the soil, and you plant the seed, and you guard it from the storm, the harvest will come. Not because it's magic, but because that is how the world works. You don't need to believe in miracles. But you do need to believe in laws. And belief is the law that turns invisible ideas into visible results. Let me repeat that. Belief is the law that turns invisible ideas, into visible results. No man, no woman, no child ever did a great thing, without first believing it could be done. Success does not start with money. It does not start with education. It starts with belief. And belief starts with choice. You choose what you will believe about yourself. You decide whether to accept the limitations handed to you, or to rise slowly but surely beyond them. And here, it's the truth, my friend. Most people are not held back by the world. They are held back by a belief about the world. They think life is hard. They think success is for the few. They think happiness is earned only after decades of struggle. And so, like a hypnotized subject, that live out exactly what they believe. That the very moment, they believe something new. Now that's not just philosophy. That's not just good advice. That is reality. And it sits waiting for you. I want you to imagine something with me now. Not a place, not a possession, but a principle. A principle so powerful, so transformative, that once it is understood and believed, it begins to shape every decision and every result. It sets this: you are not what has happened to you. Pulsed. You are what you believe about what has happened to you. That belief is the dividing line between those who rise and those who retreat. Two men can face the same hardship. Cest a veiled business, a betrayal, the loss of something dear. One becomes bitter, the other becomes better. One sees it as the end, the other the beginning. What made the difference? Not the event, but the belief. You see, belief is more than just expectation. It sets how we read the book of our lives. And those who believe that life is for them, the Monstie, even when it doesn't feel like it. Now listen carefully. Every day you are broadcasting something. Sut, not through words, but through belief. People sense it. You walk into a room, and before you speak, Vals, your belief about yourself has already spoken. It's in your posture. It's in your eyes. Belief is felt. And because it sets felt, it is contagious. The world responds to the way you see yourself. A person who believes they are capable will eventually convince others. A person who doubts themselves will find plenty of confirmation. Why? Because belief is a magnet. It pulls into your life the evidence that supports it. The man who believes he is destined to succeed will move toward difficult things with dignity. First, he will fall 7 times, but rise 8. Not because he is lucky, sucked, but because he believes rising is what he's meant to do. That belief sustains effort. Cest, and effort over time yields fruit. You see, my friend, effort without belief is labor. But belief turns effort into investment. Effort that feels like purpose, not punishment. And if you look at every great human achievement, such whether it's steps in science, art, business, or service, a quiet, persistent, immovable belief that they mattered, and that their work would eventually echo beyond the walls of their own life. Now I ask you, what do you believe about your life? Not, what do you say you believe? So, but what do you live like you believe? Do your actions reflect hope or hesitation? Do your habits reflect purpose or avoidance? Do you wake up with a sense of creation or a sense of coping? Because your life is not built on what you want. Cest, it is built on what you believe you deserve. And if deep down you believe that life is meant to be endured, but if deep down you believe that life is a stage for growth, a canvas for courage, a field for sowing greatness, then everything changes. Because then you begin to live intentionally. You begin to live expectantly. You begin to see time not as a threat, set, but as a tool. You begin to look at challenges not as punishment, sub, but as preparation. And little by little, belief becomes reality. You don't start, force it. You don't set, chase it. You simply believe and act in harmony. And that says when momentum begins to build. You take the first small step, not because you're certain of the result, a set, but because you believe it's worth the risk. You speak up, not because you're guaranteed to be heard, but because you believe your voice matters. You try again, not because you're immune to failure, 5, but because you believe failure is not your identity. And let me tell you something you may not hear often enough. You were not born to doubt yourself. Civils, you were born to build something. Sut, e-character, a contribution, a life that reflects belief. The world may not always applaud. It will always respond. Because success begins and ends with belief, and you, my friend, were born with the ability to believe something better. The choice now is whether you will use it, Now let us go a step deeper. Because belief, real belief, is not just about confidence in what you can do. It is also about trust in how life works. You see, when you believe in the order and reason of things, fiest. When you believe that effort yields return, fiest. When you believe that patience has purpose, fiest. You begin to walk differently through time. You're not rushed. Just your ear. You're not frantic. Why? Because you trust the process. You believe that the same way a seed takes root in silence before it ever breaks the ground. Scepter, your work, your thought, your effort, your discipline, scepter, all of it is taking root long before anyone else sees the sprout. That belief, that invisible knowing that something good is unfolding, that's what gives a man peace in chaos. That's what gives a woman strength in uncertainty. Because belief is not just for when things are going well. Cest, anyone can believe on a sunny day. But belief is most powerful in the storm. When the skies are gray. Cest, when the winds are against you. Not cest, when belief becomes your anchor. It is what holds you steady while others drift. It sets what keeps you moving when comfort says, stop. And the truth is, every worthwhile life will face this test. Not once, but many times. You will have seasons where your outer world looks barren. Cest, where no result seems to match your effort. Cest, where the dream seems far and the progress slow. But it's there in that valley of silence that belief becomes your lifeline. It's there that the man who truly believes keeps going. Not because he sees the finish line, not because he knows it exists. He doesn't need proof. Cest, he doesn't need applause. He just believes, and so he keeps showing up. Cest, he keeps preparing, until quietly, suddenly, almost without warning, Cest, the breakthrough comes. And to the world, it looks like success appeared overnight. But to him, it was simply the harvest sucked of a belief he planted long ago. You see, this is the truth about belief. It begins as a whisper, a thought that says, Fifta, maybe I can. And if you honor that whisper, if you feed it, it becomes a voice, then a conviction, then a habit, then a life lived on purpose, Cest, not out of fear. And that vision, my friend, does not come from the eyes. It comes from belief. There are men who see and still don't act. Cest. And there are others who act even before they see. The difference? First, belief. Now you may be wondering, where do I start? You start right where you are. You begin by replacing the quiet doubts that have lived in your mind too long with quiet certainties. You begin by speaking differently about your life. Cesta, not with exaggeration, but with intention. You begin by treating each day set as if it matters, because it does. And each moment lived with belief. Seventh is a moment that shapes your future. You don't need to believe in everything today. You don't just need to believe in the whole staircase. But you must believe in the next step. Take it. Not because you're sure of the outcome, but because you believe in becoming. You believe that with each act of courage, each effort of integrity, you are becoming the kind of person to whom success naturally belongs. And when you become that person, success is no longer a matter of chance. It is a matter of time. And now, as we bring this quiet journey to a close, let's remember the essence of what we shared. Success begins with belief. Not belief in luck. It's to not belief in circumstance. You see, my friend, the greatest turning point in any person's life, it is the moment they look inward and say, I was not made to drift. I was not made to hide. I was made to build. That is belief. It is the inner agreement between your soul and your future. And when that agreement is made, when it is signed in thought and sealed in action, everything else follows. Your habits shift. Your words change. Not overnight. Not always smoothly. Sussed, but steadily, like the hands of a clock turning. And I want to leave you with one final truth. Belief is not passive. It is not something you wait for. Sus. It is something you practice every single day. When you wake up and speak with purpose, first, that's belief. When you do what must be done, even when motivation is absent. When you speak life into your ideas. Sest, when you honor your time. That is belief in motion. And over time, belief in motion becomes destiny in form. You were not meant to walk this world invisible to yourself. You were not meant to shrink. You were meant to rise, not arrogantly, but quietly. Sest, not boastfully, but steadily, with a sense of inner certainty. Sest, and that the same intelligence that shaped the stars, and when you choose belief, just a real, grounded, unwavering belief, you step into harmony with life itself. The doubts may still whisper, the winds may still blow, that you are no longer the same. You are no longer waiting for permission. Seft, you are no longer outsourcing your potential. Seft, you are no longer pretending to be less than you are. You have believed. And because you have believed, you will persist. And because you persist, you will achieve. Success is not something we stumble upon. Sest, it is something we become, and that becoming begins with belief. So wherever you are, as this broadcast fades into silence, let the silence speak something new to you. Let it remind you that greatness is not out there waiting to be found. It is within you, waiting to be believed. Good night. Fight. And never stop believing.